Welcome back to Changi Airport. Finally, I'm leaving Singapore again. Been stuck here for like almost 1.5 years, not flying out. Welcome to Terminal 1, and yeah, might you look at that. I'm excited. And that's the beginning of my December 2025 family vacation. Our first stop, we're flying from Singapore on a Scoot airplane to Melbourne, Australia. Oh my god, look at that plane. It's a Pokemon plane. Actual Pokemon plane. Okay, when I looked from afar, I thought it was Homer Simpson. But like, who knew, guys? A Scoot airplane, a budget airplane has a Pokemon fleet. It's amazing. Oh my god! Pokemon Scoot plane! We boarded the plane to seats we pre-selected so we could sit together as a family, which is also quite close to the front of the economy class. For y'all aviation nerds out there and fans of Noel Phillips and Josh Cale and whomever, if I remember correctly, this plane was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and the economy class was in a 333 configuration. As Scoot is a budget airline, it charged us extra for pre-selecting seats, but it was totally worth the comfort as our legroom was spacious for us to last 7 to 7.5 hours on this flight. Okay, you know what? I really like these like Pokemon designs on top of it's everywhere on the plane. Outside the plane, on the plane, in the plane, it's all Pokemon. The plane name is literally called Pikachu Jet. Yeah, I'll show you later when the latch closes and it's all on the sides. And here's the in-flight meal I pre-ordered, a nasi lemak set consisting of coconut milk rice, pieces of crispy fried chicken, peanuts with ikan bilis, anchovies, omelette eggs, and some sambal sauce. Although I have low spice tolerance, I still enjoy some spicy food, especially nasi lemak, which basically isn't nasi lemak without sambal. These two are inseparable. And the spiciness isn't that strong anyways. Meh. Let's do a real review. What's up?
Twojej pysznej zupie nie ruszam dupy z propa. Ta zupa była z mlekiem, na mleko mam alergię.
As I didn't get a window seat, I didn't manage to film the plane taking off. But in the middle of the flight, the family sitting by the window seats moved somewhere else and took their belongings with them, it seems. So I went to the window to film some clouds of the late afternoon sunny blue sky. And look at that Pichu right outside on the engine! Soon after, the sky was beginning to turn orange. The sun began to set, and I was capturing it as we entered the cloudless skies of Australia, flying over the massive Australian continent from the north down to Melbourne. Then as we were landing, I just went back to my seat and filmed the plane touching down from a distance, as I thought the previous family was coming back to their seats, but apparently they didn't. Well, that means I didn't get the best window views, but still managed to capture the plane touching down on my phone camera. Then, there, I stepped foot in Australia for the first time and unlocked my fourth continent, Oceania.
Okay, very nice. We have landed, and yeah, I'm just waiting for my family. Can't go anywhere. I have my family's things with me right now, so there's not really much time to explore the airport or go around because we have to head up to our hotel, find some dinner, and get ready for the next day.
Oh my god, my first time using an Australian toilet. The sun has set already. I mean, it's summer and they're using summer daylight saving time, so it's past 9 o'clock. Almost, yeah. But it's actually geographically 1 hour earlier than that. Yeah, gonna head to our hostel and restaurant tonight. Clearing immigration in Australia was a bit of a hassle as they have restrictions on bringing a lot of items that are considered normal in other countries, like food items. So our bags and luggage couldn't contain like food, and also couldn't have dirt and grass, which could get stuck in people's clothes or shoes or whatever. But it was smooth generally, and after officially entering Australia, which I didn't get a stamp for because it's automated for so many countries, we were hungry and bought some food and a SIM card at the arrival hall before taking an Uber to our hotel in the city center. You know what? This reminds me of Tbilisi's airport. It was already very dark when we were on the road, so there was pretty much nothing to film by then, and we had a good night's recharge before beginning the next day, which was going to be our first full day in the city. In the morning, we began to explore Melbourne. We took a taxi out from the city center, traveling on highways, passing by railroads, and watching the roads get smaller, buildings get shorter and fewer, and nature getting more abundant. Our first stop for the day was Melbourne Zoo. The zoo features many animals native to the continent, many in environments built to closely resemble their natural habitat. But guess what's the first non-human animal we saw at the zoo? We saw a bee. The mouth. And then some birds flying around the benches. And also some emus walking around. At first, I was surprised that I could see these flightless birds walk around on the path meant for humans, but then remembering the history of Australia where the country lost a war to these birds, I wouldn't be surprised why they don't want to keep them in special enclosures away from humans. So we went around seeing other animals. First, some giraffes, including this one that's loafing comfortably in the cool temperatures of Victoria, completely untouched by the sweltering Australian summer temperatures, just a little bit further north. Next, the koalas, little lazy, fluffy sleepyheads hanging on the tree trunk and branches. These are grown adults, by the way. Oh my god, these cute, lazy balls of fur. They haven't even eaten their breakfast. Man, they're so lazy. They're so mean. Then we went around and saw a lot of birds, most of whose names I unfortunately forgot, but I like them. I do remember the names of these two birds though. This one's a hummingbird, one of the smallest flying cuties out there, sipping from this liquid dispenser. And these are black swans. They're so majestic that I'm gonna get copyright striked, even though Tchaikovsky's copyright expired last century. And over here we got the kangaroos. Like, honestly, have you truly been to Australia if you've never visited kangaroos and koalas? This place is literally their home. Would be rude to miss paying them a visit. So many kangaroos hopping around together with these big birds, I think even bigger emus than we met near the entrance of the zoo. So confused. And also so many lazy kangaroos just resting down there. I mean, December is summer for them, so they gotta prepare for the heat waves. That's literally me after I wake up. Now back to the koala section. They've fully woken up now to begin their 3-hour workday before going back to regenerating energy for 21 hours. Yeah, if you can't see it clearly, it's taking its time out. Glad to see them hard at work by simply staying awake. Wish I could get paid to simply exist, Lamau. Next, passing by these birds that look a bit like eagles and also a bit like owls, but not either of them. So if you know their name, please leave them in the comments. Then here's some ducks. And also some monkey. Then this animal called the tapir. Many tiny birds, some pigs, and loafing deers. More birds. Wow, that's many. A different bird. Some turtle. And we arrive at the section with dragons. Yeah, lizards and chameleons, etc. in the reptile section. Some of them are masters of camouflage, becoming one with the tree, or the branch, or the stone, or the dirt effortlessly. While some others prefer to be a bit more visible and maybe extroverted to human visitors. And then we move on to the frogs. There are so many sizes of frogs and colors too. Some are bright and some are more camouflagey. This one seems so polite though, it's so calm. after visiting the amphibians, we came to visit these big lazy cats. This majestic lazy king car. And then this cat, which variant it was I forgot, but looking at the spots, it's definitely not a cheetah. It's probably a leopard, maybe a jaguar. Then lots of these cat murals on the walls. So yeah, we didn't only come to a zoo, we also came to an art gallery. And also don't forget some ducks. Next, we visit the parrot the platypus. It's doing its daily exercise in the swimming pool, really can't afford to skip a day. Then next, we entered the aquatic section. There were these seals or sea lions swimming along with some penguins. And many Nemos swimming around the corals. Yeah, clownfish. Also some jellyfish. More penguins, including this one hiding under the bridge or plank. And another little furry fuzzy creature whose name I forgot. And next, the famous Western lowland gorilla, aka gorilla. That's its official scientific name. Then here's some lazy cute otters rolling around and sunbathing.
We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale. According to the judgment of the Oratrice
and coming full circle around the zoo. If I remember correctly, the last animal we saw was the meerkat. This little guy looks so slim though, so different from meerkats I'm used to seeing online. But anyways, that concludes our visit to the animals of Melbourne Zoo. We also visited the gift shop and bought a platypus plushie to bring home, and also saw this parrot that you could slap onto your wrist, you know, the slap bracelet, that looks just like the Duolingo owl. It's either Spanish or vanish. Aside from those, there's this word wominyeka that appears everywhere from the airport to the zoo. That means welcome in the Woiwurrung language, the native language of the indigenous tribe of Wurundjeri people from the Kulin nation. I really respect this move, especially considering that the Australian government historically conducted large-scale ethnic, cultural, and linguistic genocide upon the native inhabitants of the continent, well into the early 20th century, with the Woiwurrung language being cleansed out of the possibility of revival around the 1930s to 40s. No native speakers survived past the World War II era. But in the recent decades, the Wurundjeri people across all ages have been organizing a movement to revive their native language, even inspiring non-indigenous residents to join and learn the language. There are slowly more and more fluent speakers of the Woiwurrung language emerging very recently, and it's very heartwarming to see people who are not personally responsible for the death of indigenous languages take initiative to learn them for the simple reason of living on their land. Melbourne, which is called Nar in Woiwurrung. Public acknowledgement of indigenous land ownership is just the first step and a huge step to take. So, wonderful job to the Wurundjeri people and their allies working together to revive the language that used to carry tales of life in an effort to make it capable of telling stories to the future children. So now back to my journey. We exited the zoo from the northern exit and arrived at the Royal Park train station, whose rail line is part of Melbourne's metro trains. It's quite a historical station being built in 1884 and connects to the Melbourne CBD, where we will be heading from Royal Park. This line is called Upfield Line and runs quite far north from the city center. While in the direction of the Melbourne city center, the line runs in a one-way counterclockwise loop. Around the CBD, many lines run together in the same route, whilst with some alternating between clockwise and counterclockwise depending on the time of the day.
Heart of Flinders Street.
This is a service to Flinders Street, stopping all stations direct to Flinders Street.
We alighted the train at Flinders Street, the busiest train station in the entire state of Victoria, in the early afternoon, although it didn't seem that crowded when we were at the station. There were probably not many commuters as it was a weekday afternoon. It is an iconic landmark and architectural marvel of central Melbourne. This literally carries history of the city. It was built in 1854. It sort of serves as like the central station of the city. Also kinda sorta not, cause it looks like it's distributed between Flinders Street and Southern Cross stations. After crossing the road, we arrive at the St. Paul's Cathedral. This is in the Gothic style of architecture, and it reminds me of the churches in Georgia I visited back in 2024, just that this has more visitors. And the inside has more modern additions, including speaker systems, a grand piano, and a stage for live performances. Compared to those I visited in Georgia, which seemed more traditional, as the front of the church is more intact for carol singing. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I notice as a musician. Then after visiting the church, we went to take the tram. It's so convenient that the tram services in and around the CBD area are free to ride. Comparing this to having to pay over $2 for a metro ride is actually of great value. Most tram lines in the CBD run straight through the vertical and horizontal rows of the grid, so navigating most streets through the trams are pretty straightforward. We went to visit another cathedral, the St. Patrick's Cathedral. Yeah, the name itself is sounding super Irish. On the way, we passed by a public toilet that looked super small and didn't give much sense of privacy. I guess this was normal in Commonwealth countries when they built this stuff. I don't know, Lamau. But anyways, we had to walk quite a distance out after taking the tram, because the free tram zone ended where Melbourne CBD meets East Melbourne. But hey, it was good exercise. Not skipping leg day actually saves you money. If you have time, that is. We had a very loose afternoon plan, so we had the entire time of the sun being up to explore this area. Walking past Parliament Gardens and a few smaller roads and tramways, also passing by this smaller St. Peter's Eastern Hill Anglican Church. Then right opposite is the St. Patrick's Cathedral. Both St. Patrick's and St. Paul's are two of the grandest churches in Melbourne and carry the history of the city. So St. Paul's was the site of the city's first Christian services, while St. Patrick's is larger and more spacious. As St. Paul's is located in the city center while St. Patrick's is somewhere slightly further out, St. Patrick's has less visitors and gives a quieter, more serene vibe for churchgoers to have more space for self-reflection. It also has more relics of seats, candles, statues of angels, saints, as well as what I remember to be Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus holding a holy book. So as a non-Christian, I respectfully and quietly walked around the cathedral, admiring its material, historical and spiritual value, and its beautiful and grand architecture. Its colored glass gives a warmer and more calm lighting compared to the transparent ceiling glass back at St. Paul's, which was better suited for larger crowds and congregations. The glass right here faces east, which I learned was a tradition to make the sunlight shine behind the pastor while conducting morning church services, making him look more grand and objectively awesome from even a secular view. And as a musician, I was in awe of the installed church organs and other musical instruments and arrangements for live instrumental and modern musical performances inside the cathedral. Yeah, churches really love music. After exiting the cathedral, we went the same way back through the Parliament Gardens. It's a calming, open public space with benches for sitting and relaxing, colorful flowers to bless everyone's eyes, and a water fountain in the center with a little bird. Yeah, I think this bird looks like a duck. It's so calm too. Then we encountered even more birds around the flowers. And walked back to the free tram station to take it back to the CBD for our next destination, the State Library Victoria. Outside the library, there's this monument of a library stone pillar being half buried underground, Lamau. It's a public art titled Architectural Fragment. resembling a long-buried archaeological artifact. Some people interpret this as the library being rediscovered and partially dug up, while others interpret it as knowledge sinking into the soil and becoming one with the earth again. Anyways, the library lawn has many people chilling and even picnicking, while the entrance stairs welcome you with a statue of this Sir Redmond Barry, who founded this library and also the University of Melbourne. While on the feet of the lampposts, there were some Egyptian pharaoh-looking statues with wings as decoration. Nearer to the entrance, there's a huge chessboard. Unfortunately, I don't know how to play chess. Sitting at the foot of a statue of a knight riding a horse, slaying a dragon with a spear. Inside the library, we headed to the central reading hall called the Dome, which literally has a dome above reaching the ceiling, letting natural light into the room with readers below. It's also surrounded by 3 floors of exhibitions from various parts of the world, including medieval European music notation, an Arabic book in a very unique style of calligraphy, which might have been a 19th century handwritten copy of the Quran, and another book being an illustrated 1898 prayer book titled Dalail al-Khairat by Muhammad ibn Sulaiman al-Jazuli from Istanbul, and some torn, very aged pages of Arabic. There are also children's storybooks from all over the world, including this Persian book from Tehran, and English storybooks too. Displayed here are also some Japanese paintings of foreign ships and armies landing in Yokohama following the forced ending of Japan's Sakoku period by opening up ports to foreign merchants and ships in the middle of the 19th century. On the top floor that we could access, there's this colored glass painting of William Shakespeare. Basically, all those floors are filled with countless items on display, and we could also look down at the dome reading room from above. We then went down to the reading room and quietly walked around, including visiting the center of the reference library where the dais stood, an elevated platform where there used to be a head shusher to keep the volume inside the library down. I spent some time looking through the book titles and reading some of them, including one with the cover that has Australia labeled under the name New Holland. Very historical, I see. Then I wandered into other rooms in the library to explore them a bit and admire the architecture before leaving. After exiting the library, I ran into this busking guitarist-singer by the side of the road. Here, enjoy this song played and sung by a Jakarta music artist, Nugraha Saputra from the band HIVE ID. Give them a follow and some support.
Flying on your motorcycle, watching on the ground, but no need to drink. You kill yourself for recognition, kill yourself to never ever stop. You broke another mirror, you turned it into something you are now. So don't leave me high, don't leave me dry.
So after visiting the library, we took the tram out and walked towards the Carlton Gardens. It's considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site, filled with greenery and walking paths among the tall trees, along with a central fountain and a couple lakes by the side. It's a bigger space than the Parliament Gardens not far away from here, and it has more vegetation blocking the impending Australian summer sun. In the middle of the garden is the Royal Exhibition Building, which we didn't enter, but took a few pictures and videos of the outside. It's really a huge open space. We're this close from the CBD and we already have such an huge empty space for breathing. Then further north is the Melbourne Museum, which we didn't enter either, but took some pretty pictures of the architecture outside. We were heading back to the CBD immediately after this because we got hungry and wanted to eat dinner. It was almost the evening. Now back in the CBD, we spontaneously wandered into the Royal Arcade, an indoor shopping street, but half of the stores seem to be closed, and thus it's not crowded. The ceiling windows provide a natural light into the arcade, and the inside had very intricate Italian architecture. Near the entrance, there was a clock surrounded by statues of Gog and Magog under some Christmas decorations. To end the day, we had dinner at a Sichuan restaurant in Melbourne Chinatown. We thought that we wouldn't be eating Asian food about 1 to 2 weeks when we leave Australia for our journey to Aotearoa, New Zealand, because we will be traveling through many small towns. Anyways, blessing y'all viewers' eyes with some tasty food here. Nom. After we finished dinner, it was already dark. We took the tram back to our hotel and went to rest for the night. We explored so many places on our first day here. We were exhausted, but it was fun. This episode will be getting too long if I yap further, so yeah, that's about it for my first day in Melbourne. There was so much to see and explore, and we did even more on our second day here. So stay tuned for the next episode of our day 2 in Melbourne.